Laughter. That's the noise I recall most from the afternoon my father's will was read. It wasn't happy laughter. It was the sort that grates on your spirit. The noise of a person who thinks they've triumphed for good. My brother, Ethan, leaned back in his polished leather chair, the gold of his cufflinks shining like a winner's prize. And he said the words that would brand themselves into my mind. I guess she gets what she put into it. My father, a man who built an empire from a single printing press, had left his multi-million-dollar company to my brother, and to me, the daughter who had quit her job, slept in a chair by his bed for months, who had learned the precise timing of his medication by the angle of the moonlight through his window. To me, he left a decaying farmhouse, a house of ghosts and peeling paint, and in that moment, as my brother's laughter echoed in the sterile conference room, I made a silent vow. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. If you've ever been the one who was overlooked, the one who gave everything and was rewarded with nothing, then you know why what happened next wasn't just about money. It was about justice. To understand the ending, you have to go back to the beginning, the final months. My father, Richard Campbell, was a former soldier, a man of few words, but immense presence. He believed in structure, in order. He built Campbell Printing Solutions from our garage into a fortress of industry. People called him the Quiet General. And I was his lieutenant in his final war, the one against time itself. My brother Ethan was the heir apparent, the golden child, with a smile that could charm investors, and a confidence that bordered on arrogance. He was in Charlotte, building his own legend, while I was in Asheville, measuring my days in pill doses and breathing treatments. His calls were brief, efficient. Hang in there, kiddo. You're doing great. He never asked what great meant when it involved changing soiled sheets at 3 a.m. or holding a cup of water to lips too weak to sip. The hospice nurse, Rita, was my only anchor. She'd been with our family for years. First, as Dad's bookkeeper. She saw everything. One morning, she found me crying silently in the kitchen. She didn't offer empty platitudes. She just said, "He sees you, Ivy. He sees your strength. He just doesn't have the words for it." I wanted to believe her, but in the economy of our family, Ethan's words were always the currency that mattered most. 2 days before he died, he asked me to open the window. He looked out at the old oak trees he'd planted the year I was born, their branches skeletal against the grey sky. His voice was a whisper, a rustle of dry leaves. You always notice the details, Ivy. The way the light hits the floorboards, the smell before the rain. That's your strength." He took a slow, rattling breath. "Don't ever let anyone make you doubt that." They were the last coherent words he ever spoke to me, and I clung to them like a life raft. At the funeral, Ethan performed the role of the grieving son with the skill of a Broadway actor. He was the CEO of sorrow, managing the brand of our loss. When he finally made his way to me, he placed a heavy, patronizing hand on my shoulder. "You handled all this so well, Ivy. Dad would have been proud." And then he smiled. It was a smile of pure, unadulterated ownership. The kingdom was his. 3 weeks later, we gathered in that tomb of a lawyer's office. Mr. Harrison's voice was dry and precise as he read the will. "To my son, Ethan Campbell, I leave Campbell Printing Solutions, including all its assets, accounts, and operations." I watched Ethan's chest inflate. He let out a soft, triumphant whistle. This was his coronation. "And to my daughter, Ivy Campbell, I leave the family farmhouse at 17 Oak Street, including all belongings within." A deafening silence. broken only by the hum of the air conditioner. Ethan let out a short, sharp laugh. The farmhouse? The one with the roof about to cave in. Guess she gets what she put into it, huh? The air left my lungs. It was a physical blow. What she put into it? Months of my life, my career, my sanity, reduced to a punchline. I signed the papers, my hand steady only through sheer force of will. In the hallway he caught up to me, his grin wide and cruel. Don't take it personal, sis. Next time, try not to play nurse. Maybe then you'll get something worth keeping. He walked away, already on his phone, talking about streamlining operations. And I was left standing there, holding a key that felt like an insult. But as I stepped into the sunlight, a strange certainty settled over me. This key, it was heavy. It felt intentional. The farmhouse was a museum of my own irrelevance. Every creak of the floorboard was a reminder of my brother's laughter. That first night, I cried until I was hollow. It was the kind of crying that doesn't just release pain, it makes space for something else, something harder. The next morning, fueled by a grim determination, I decided to clean, not out of love for the house, but as an act of defiance. I would make this ruin mine. When I tried to shift my father's old oak desk, I heard it, a hollow thump from the wall behind it. Not the sound of solid wood, the sound of a secret. My heart hammered against my ribs. I knelt, my fingers tracing the baseboard, until I found it, a hairline crack, a panel disguised perfectly. I pried it open with a screwdriver, and there it was, a small digital keypad, gleaming in the dark. A code. My mind raced. What would he use? His birthday? The company's founding? No. I typed in the only numbers that ever truly mattered to him. My mother's birthday. A soft, satisfying click. The panel swung open. Inside was a safe, and on it, a letter with my name. My hand shook as I peeled it open. My dearest Ivy, if you are reading this, you have passed the test I never could give your brother. You were always the one who looked, who listened, who understood that value isn't always shouted from rooftops. Sometimes, it's hidden in the walls. This was never about money. It was about trust. Inside the safe were documents. So many documents. And a small brass key for a safety deposit box. I scanned the first investment statement. The numbers blurred. Not thousands, millions. Over $3 million. It wasn't just money. It was a message. I see you. I trust you. You were my balance. The next day, I went to the bank. Mrs. Chen, the manager, remembered my father. He was a meticulous man, she said, with a knowing look. In the silent humming vault, I opened box 212. It was all there. Deeds to properties I never knew he owned. Detailed investment portfolios. And another final letter. Ethan measures his worth by the volume of his applause. You measure yours by the depth of your foundation. I built the company for him to run, but I built this for you to understand. Use it wisely. Use it quietly. And never, ever let arrogance touch it. You have always made me proud. I called Mr. Harrison. I need a meeting, with Ethan present. The atmosphere in the law office was now charged. Ethan entered, annoyed and condescending. So what's this about? Finally decided to sell that dump? I know a guy who might take it off your hands for the land value. I said nothing. I just looked at Mr. Harrison. He opened a new file. Ethan, your father maintained a separate private trust. It was not part of the probated will. He instructed that its contents be disclosed only after certain conditions were met. Ethan scoffed. Conditions? What conditions? I met his eyes. That I find it myself. In the house you called a dump, Mr. Harrison continued. The trust contains diversified assets, real estate, and accounts with a total value of approximately $3.2 million, all of which belong solely to your sister. The smugness evaporated from Ethan's face, replaced by confusion, then dawning horror, then pure, incandescent rage. What? No, that's not possible. You knew about this, and you let me. He set me up. He left me a sinking ship. I remained calm. He left you a multi-million-dollar company, Ethan. He left me a lesson. And it seems I was the only one who learned it. Mr. Harrison read from another letter. To my children, Ethan, leadership is not control. It is responsibility. I gave you the company, hoping you would build, not boast. Ivy, you understood value without ever chasing it. That is why the true foundation of this family's future belongs to you. The silence in the room was absolute. Ethan looked at me, and for the first time, I saw not my powerful brother, but a lost, entitled little boy. You think this makes you better than me? He hissed. No, Ethan. It just proves I was always enough. He stormed out, slamming the door. I remained seated, calm, a small, serene smile touching my lips. 2 years can change everything. The farmhouse Ethan laughed at is now the heart of my thriving design business. People say I have my father's hands, steady, capable of turning broken things into something beautiful. As for Ethan, the empire he bragged about crumbled. He lost the company. He sold his cars. The golden boy was forced to learn the value of humility. People might call this a revenge story, but it's not. Revenge is loud and fiery and quick. This was something else. This was justice. A quiet, patient, precise justice. My father didn't punish Ethan. He didn't reward me. He simply balanced the scales. He gave us both exactly what we had earned. Sometimes, I still take out his letter. The paper is yellowing now, but the words are etched into me. You were my balance. He was right. The quiet ones. The ones who notice the details, who build from the foundation up. We don't need to scream to be heard. Our victory is in the life we build, piece by careful piece. It's in the solid feel of a floorboard we repaired ourselves. Under a roof we saved from collapse. My brother got the applause, but I got the echo, and the echo lasts forever. If you've ever been the one left with the old house, while someone else got the castle, I want you to know this. Look closer. Dig deeper. Your value was never determined by their applause. Sometimes, the greatest treasures are hidden in the places everyone else has written off. Your quiet strength is your greatest weapon. Never forget it. What would you have done in my situation? Tell me your stories in the comments below. And if you believed in Ivy's quiet victory, subscribe for more stories of karma, justice, and the power of being underestimated. Until next time.